Welcome. Tonight's dinner, we're going to be making black bean and Poblano Flautas with guacamole and pico de gallo. Let's make this dish. All right, so we're going to get right into it. First thing we want to do is half and thinly slice the onion. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and core and deseed this pepper and cut it into 1/2-inch pieces. All right, now one thing you want to do here is you want to take the beans and you want to drain them over a small bowl and save the juice from the beans. So we'll go ahead and dump that in the strainer here, and that'll drain on through. And as you can see, I've already started with one can, and there we go. We'll let that sit and finish draining. All right, at this point, we're going to dice up the tomato. And now we're going to go ahead and thinly slice the scallions. This time we're not separating the greens from the whites. And then we're going to combine these in a small bowl with the tomatoes, and then also a large squeeze of lime juice and some olive oil. This is the pico de gallo we're creating here. There's a little olive oil, and season it with salt and pepper. And then we'll give that a quick mix. Okay, so next you want to heat up a drizzle of oil in a large pan over a medium-high heat. And once that's started to heat up, you want to add the onions, and the poblano. You're gonna cook this for about 5 or 6 minutes, just until they're softened. And then we want to add in 2 tablespoons of warm and smoky Southwest spice blend, and we'll cook that and stir it up a little bit as it starts to heat up. And then we're going to add half of the black beans. We'll use the rest of the black beans in the next step. Okay, now while that's cooking, what we're going to do is we're going to heat up in a small saucepan some more oil. We're going to add in the rest of the black beans. We're going to add in a 1/4 cup of the reserved bean liquid. And stirring this lightly, just so that they soften for about 2 minutes. Okay, now that these are completed heating up, we're going to lower the heat to a simmer. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of butter. We're going to stir that in, shutting off the heat. We're going to then, once the butter melts, we're going to go ahead and mash the beans with the potato masher, and then season it with salt and pepper. So we are going to mash these with the potato masher. If you don't have a potato masher, you can use a fork or a large spoon to mash it, but you want to mash these until they're mostly smooth. Doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to prepare the tortillas. And before we do that, I'm just going to pour some oil in this pan because we're going to be using that in just a minute. Heat that up. But we're going to put a little bit of the black beans on the tortilla. Spread that out. And then we're going to add some of the filling to this. And once this is complete, we'll sprinkle some Monterey Jack cheese. And then we're going to roll these up. And then we're going to then put them into the pan that is heating up with the oil, and we're going to, with the seam side down, I'm going to let those cook for a little bit, brown just a little bit. Be very careful to keep these intact. You don't want to overstuff them. Now we're going to put them in the pan. Like I said, you want to put these seam side down. We'll cook each side for approximately 1 to 2 minutes, just until they're golden brown. Alright, these look just about ready. Flip the first one. There's the second one. And number 3. Looking pretty good. All right, while the tortillas are lightly browning, we're going to go ahead and make some homemade guacamole. All right, so there's several recipes that you can do for guacamole. The one I'm choosing today has cilantro, has diced up onions, it has lemon, obviously avocados, and some salt. I know there are other recipes out there where you could add some garlic and tomatoes. But this is what we're doing tonight, mainly because, one, the tomatoes aren't really in season at the moment, and I don't like making them without really good seasoned tomatoes. So go ahead and put in the guacamole. The avocado. You could take a potato smasher or a fork, whatever you have handy, and you want to mash that up. You want to add your cilantro, your onions, your salt. Your salt makes all the difference in the world. Obviously your lime juice. Found that 2 tablespoons of lime juice is usually a good the right amount per one avocado. So that's about 1 tablespoon there. And here comes the second one. And the other thing that I want to add that is not typical is a little bit of coriander. And you may think, oh, why would you add coriander to this? Well, coriander is actually made from the seed of the cilantro. So it kind of makes sense. Now that that's complete, we want to go ahead and mix that all up. There, it's done. Just like that. All right, here you go. Black bean Poblano Flautas.